A sharp eye in the sky, using a camera to catch the chaos down below.
Hey, you pieces! Knock it off!
It's a vicious assault over a parking job by a suspect who likes to wear orange.
My kids could have had to bury their mom.
Serving coffee, then staring down a barrel. A small business owner describes the nightmare that came knocking on her drive-through window. Cutting off the Belltown Hellcat. How the latest arrest of this notorious nuisance centers on social media, now in the spotlight.
The Spotlight brought to you by Beacon Plumbing.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm David Rose, and tonight we're starting with crimes caught on camera and the suspects who just can't stay out of the spotlight. We begin with a violent attack on two women and a man just trying to go home from work near the Great Wheel in Seattle. A warning for you, this video is brutal, but the victims are going to be okay, and they are on their way to getting justice, all thanks to a concerned neighbor who fired up her cell phone camera when things started to go down.
Hey, you pieces! Knock it off!
That was the reaction of a witness who called 911 after a violent attack in Seattle on April 10th. She started recording when she heard an argument on the street below. Seattle police say a brother, sister, and their cousin were leaving work when they commented that a black BMW SUV was parked very close to the front of their car. The guy you see there in the orange had his window down and took offense to that. So he got out and an argument ensued with him yelling at them. At one point, the sister, who is 5'3", 110 pounds, flips his phone out of his hand. He hauls back and strikes her in the face, knocking her to the ground unconscious. Then he attacks her brother, who has his hands up saying he doesn't want to fight, before hitting the female cousin as well, dropping her to the pavement. Security comes over, but this guy doesn't stick around. He gets in his vehicle and leaves. It took 6 minutes for his first victim to regain consciousness, and she suffered a bad concussion. When Seattle police ran the license plate, it came back to one Dalil Downs. That Downs name may be familiar to you here on the Spotlight, because Dalil is the brother of Janice Downs, who we've told you has been charged with leading a ring of organized thieves and stealing $500,000 worth of Lululemon clothing. Turns out the attack happened hours after Janice and her mother, Janice Wiley, were arraigned in the organized retail theft case. When detectives looked at the court video, they saw Dalil wearing that same orange outfit, then also located a photo of him wearing orange at work. Seems he likes orange. The evidence was enough for the prosecutor, who's charged him with 3 counts of assault. He showed up for his arraignment and has pleaded not guilty. Downs is free right now, awaiting trial. Well, another guy who cannot stay out of the spotlight and the cameras is the Belltown Hellcat, arrested at his latest court appearance. The judge found he violated an order to stop posting to certain social media platforms where he's made a name for himself with his noisy and reckless antics. The Spotlight's Alejandra Guzman takes us inside the hearing where the Hellcat's attorney seemed pretty exasperated with her client.
Chief, I think we're good to go.
Miles Hudson in handcuffs again after going before Judge Seth Neeson, this time a little less religious as he was minimally covered. Prosecutors were asking the court to raise his bail.
Because Mr. Hudson, as he told the police and as he had now shown the court on several occasions, will not stop this sort of behavior.
They claim Hudson is trying to skirt court rules. Judge Neeson previously banned Hudson from posting on his Instagram and Twitch accounts for 2 counts related to harassing an ex-girlfriend where he allegedly stalked and shared revenge porn. The violations allegedly came almost immediately after Hudson was released. Note the account rename from SRT.Miles to not.SRT.Miles with the bio disclaimer saying Miles doesn't post to legal purposes. The account now also offering a $9.99 subscription to followers where they'll have early access to exclusive behind-the-scenes content.
Mr. Hudson, I'm going to be super clear with you. Changing the name of your Instagram account or saying for legal purposes that somebody else is posting on it is not effective, okay? I know how this works.
A new account, Alone.Miles, has also been created where he allegedly posted this red key curse picture of his ankle monitor and his Hellcat key. Hudson, who spoke against his attorney's advice, is not taking responsibility for it.
I just wanted to say for the photo they're talking about was posted on TikTok, Your Honor. and I did understand what you were saying with the don't post on that. That's why I went straight to TikTok. I do feel like someone's like malice intent towards me. Okay.
Judge Neeson left no doubt on what is allowed. He expanded the ban across accounts, letting him know he's on the hook if any other posts are made.
I can't give you legal advice, but if you come in front of this court with a second violation, it is going to be very problematic. Comply with this court's orders. These go away at the conclusion of your case. I want you to have the opportunity to live the life you want to live, but you have to comply with my orders.
For the Spotlight, I'm Alejandra Guzman.
Belltown should be a little quieter as the judge made it very clear that no one is allowed to drive the Hellcat. Well, a crew of burglars caught on camera breaking into a Kent woman's home. They stole sentimental items and her sense of safety. She moved into this apartment after overcoming homelessness. She reached out to me to ask for your help, and the Spotlight's Nia Wong spoke with a victim who feels violated and heartbroken to experience a crime like this in the next chapter of her life.
After living at the Homestead Apartments for a little more than a year,
I want to clean it from top to bottom to try and wash off the violation or whatever.
This woman, who didn't want to show her face, spoke with Fox 13 exactly 1 week after this happened. She says she was working in Pierce County when her phone alerted her to this site.
When they came in, they kind of looked like they didn't know if somebody was here or not.
Before one of the masked men looks directly into the camera, then takes what appears to be a crowbar to move that camera away.
They smashed all of my jewelry boxes and left everything all over the place.
She says they took multiple Xboxes, electronics, sentimental items, even Marilyn Monroe photos off her wall.
It was unbelievable how fast they were in and out and how much they actually got away with.
She says police responded to her apartment building within minutes, but none of the suspects have been caught so far.
I know that there's been at least one tip where somebody has called an officer and tried to let him know.
Though she says she has trouble sleeping, she is grateful she wasn't home when these people broke in.
People like that are ruthless, and you never know how crazy they can be or how dangerous they can be. I'm just really glad that I wasn't home.
She hopes someone recognizes these people and will call in tips to Crime Stoppers, stopping these burglars before they break into any more homes.
Let somebody know who it was. If they think they know who it is, keep it from happening to someone else, because who knows, next time somebody might be home or it could end up even worse, you know?
For the Spotlight, I'm Nia Wong.
Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound is offering a cash reward of up to $1,000 for the tip that will help catch these burglary suspects.
Give me.
Pierce County Sheriff's deputies are trying to identify that woman who robbed a Tacoma coffee stand at gunpoint. It happened on the morning of August 8th at Revive Coffee near the 512 ramp. The Spotlight's A.J. Janavel spoke with the coffee stand's owner about this terrifying ordeal.
I really felt like I was going to be shot.
8 years ago, Peyton Jones took a leap of faith.
I bought my business as a single mom. I raising my daughter in there with me.
Nearly a decade later, the people who drive through Revive Coffee
You guys got plans for the rest of your day?
Are more than just customers.
I memorized people's names, their drinks, what they did last weekend, what they have going on. Like, these people are family.
That's why what happened is so shocking.
I've never had a gun pointed at me.
Jones tells me this woman ran up to her window and threatened her and her employee.
I don't want to kill you. I don't want to do none of that.
Cameras show the terrifying situation from inside the coffee stand. And despite this nightmare, Jones went back to work that day.
I can't take that time to miss out on opportunities, to pay our bills.
She tells me in total, this gunwoman and getaway driver made off with about $100. But she says they took so much more from her.
Something's got to change. That could have easily been a really bad day. Like, my kids, sorry, my kids could have had to bury their mom.
For the Spotlight, I'm A.J. Janavel.
So if you recognize that woman's voice or you know who she is, please contact the Pierce County Sheriff's Department, or if you want to remain anonymous, you can reach out to Crime Stoppers of Tacoma Pierce County.
I've been doing this 26 years, and this is the most frightening thing I've ever seen.
That is the special agent in charge of the DEA in Seattle, talking with me this week about the fentanyl, meth, and cocaine killing people daily. He says fentanyl pill shipments have dropped some, but agents are seeing more powder fentanyl than ever. Plus, cocaine trafficking is up, and they are seeing a lot of extremely dangerous pure methamphetamine. They are making progress, though. Just recently, the final defendant arrested during Operation New Day in Seattle was sentenced. The Drug Enforcement Administration announced that 56-year-old Kwang Chow will serve 5 years in federal prison. That's big boy time because there's very little early release. Operation New Day targeted the open-air drug markets at 12th and Jackson and 3rd and Pine in Seattle. Agents photographed Chow making hand-to-hand drug sales of fentanyl, meth, crack cocaine, and heroin while armed with a pistol. He pleaded guilty to possession of a firearm in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime. All told, 6 New Day defendants have been convicted federally so far. That crackdown preceded Operation Red Rose, announced in this June press conference. The DEA and Seattle police tracked a street-level buy of meth all the way back to the Sinaloa cartel and then to Colombia. As seen in this video on X from the General of the Colombian National Police, they took down the producers, distributors, retailers, and the money launderers. The DEA and SPD executed search warrants simultaneously in Western Washington and in Colombia. So, has it made a difference in saving lives? In looking at King County's overdose deaths data dashboard, fewer people have died so far this year, 650, compared to the same time period last year when 801 people died from fentanyl, meth, and other stimulants. Narcan is more available now to treat overdoses, but DEA Special Agent in Charge Dave Ream says that by tearing out the Sinaloa cartel's drug pipeline by the root, it creates a gap in the availability of drugs, and it gives users the opportunity to get clean.
Hopefully, that makes it harder to find for a period of time where they can reevaluate their circumstances and maybe get help, maybe stop needing drugs in the future.
While deaths overall have dropped, I did notice a troubling number of reports from the King County Medical Examiner citing the cause of death as cocaine and fentanyl. Are dealers mixing the fentanyl in with the cocaine, or the traffickers shipping it in that way? Like, who's mixing fentanyl in with cocaine?
If you put fentanyl, which is highly addictive, a small amount into cocaine, you're going to get a user addicted to the cocaine that comes from that source. So if you are the seller and your cocaine has fentanyl, and I have other cocaine, I'm also a cocaine seller without fentanyl, yours is going to addict people and mine will not. So people come back to you. It could be as simple as that.
And he says they're seeing more fentanyl powder being trafficked here than pills, meaning it can be easily mixed in with other drugs, making them more deadly. Getting the word out about the dangers is the reason for their new outreach program called Operation Engage. It's in effect across 11 cities, including Seattle. Agents and resource operators visit schools, tribal communities, and events working to reduce drug poisonings to save lives. They have an outreach specialist they hired a year ago who's doing nothing but going into the community to meet with people and tell them about the dangers. Look for the DEA Hummer that was seized from a drug dealer and then wrapped in their "one pill can kill" message at events coming to you. Governor Jay Inslee's final term is coming to a close, with thousands of encampments still standing on state-owned land. Inslee launched an initiative that funds encampment cleanups across Washington state. Those funds, though, could soon be running dry. The Spotlight's Taylor Winkle takes a look at how successful the initiative has been as WashDOT works with what they have.
When I first, came over here, there was only like one tent and then whole neighborhood.
Robin lives near the site of this North Seattle encampment right off Whedon and 69th. This was home to 5 people, if you could call it that, but not anymore.
This site took priority because there was a high amount of people living on a small spot of land. It's very close to I-5.
State contractors are clearing the trash, tents, and all the other hazards left behind before WashDOT comes in to repair the land, closing it to camping for good. And it looks like a busy morning now, but the work here actually started 4 weeks ago when the outreach organization REACH came in to figure out how to help get these people off the streets for good with housing.
It's housing, it's not temporary, it's permanent. So these places aren't repopulating, and that's really what the neighborhoods are asking for, is to not have this be an issue anymore for them.
REACH says the program is working. 90% of the people living in encampments like this accept housing. 80% have stayed off the streets. And And you can see that it works when you drive by closed-off encampments like this one in the U District. Clean land, no tents. It's also correlated in statistics. With more people off the streets, Seattle Fire says their calls for homeless-related fires are dropping. In 2022, the first year of the program, they responded to nearly 1,500 homeless-related fires. In 2023, a little more than 1,300. And for this year, right now, we're sitting at around 507 to date, hopefully on track to see about 25% less than before. But data from unincorporated King County and the city of Renton showed their numbers staying about the same. So how much is it worth to clean up this state land?
The funding is running out for WSDOT maintenance, so we have to make tough decisions at times.
In the first 2 years of the Encampment Resolution Program, WSDOT spent all $7 million allocated from the state budget shutting down and cleaning up encampments, fencing them off, and then monitoring them to make sure they stayed clear. Even with additional funding from cities like Seattle to do the work, they went over their budget. So this year they asked for $10 million more, but they only got $2. $9 million altogether, much of it already spent cleaning up 47 encampments in total so far, from this huge site in Spokane to this one in Olympia, and now the one we're standing at today.
Fencing may not be an option here because fencing costs quite a lot.
With no fencing here, there's not a lot WSDOT can do to stop people from moving back except pay more to keep monitoring the area. Small to medium encampments like this one can cost up to $50,000 to clean up and fence off. Larger ones, double that. Here at Whedon and 69th, cleanup and repairs cost $1,900, all they could afford.
Our commitment to the public is really important, and even though this is not something we envision necessarily when dealing with road maintenance, ultimately this is still our right-of-way, and ultimately we have to keep it safe for the public.
But without more funding, they won't be able to keep clearing these camps, and it's unclear what support this Inslee-era program will get in the future.
That was the Spotlight's Taylor Winkle reporting. Democratic candidate for governor Bob Ferguson says he plans to continue the program. Republican candidate Dave Reichert has said he would issue an executive order that directs state agencies to urgently address encampments. A local mom is calling for accountability after her son was shot and killed in Auburn back on July 12th. She started a petition asking lawmakers to set legal consequences for parents if their child is responsible for gun violence. The Spotlight's Jennifer Dowling has more on her quest for justice and for change.
My son left the house for 2 hours and was killed that night.
Lanisha Landry calls the pain and void in her life undescribable after losing her son Xavier in a shooting near this Auburn Chevron gas station.
Oh, every day I wake up with heartache. Every day his siblings wake up with heartache.
Because she says Xavier was a good kid and never carried a gun, the motive for his murder remains a mystery.
I'm praying daily that someone is caught.
She started paying attention to the juvenile justice system, watching several teens get arrested for illegally carrying weapons, with most released on home detention, some committing other crimes during that time. She says a report that youth were flashing guns at a recent Seafair Chinatown parade also prompted her to take action.
Since they don't want to let the kid be held accountable for their actions, then it's time to go after the parents.
She sharpened her focus and is now pushing this petition to call for more accountability for the parents of kids that carry guns or use them to commit crimes.
I think that the parents should have to face the music since they don't want to make the kids stand up and be accountable.
The petition urges local and state lawmakers to enforce laws that would impose legal consequences on those parents who do not secure firearms at home or fail to restrict their child's access.
I don't even know if the suspects are juveniles in my son's case. I just know that this is what the Lord has placed on my heart.
With more accountability, she feels more lives would be saved. So far, more than 550 people have signed her petition.
And it's just in memory of my son, but it's also to speak up for the other children in the world.
For the Spotlight, I'm Jennifer Dowling.
Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound is offering a $1,000 cash reward for any information that leads to an arrest in Xavier's case. An overnight smash and grab caught on camera at a tattoo parlor in West Seattle. A pair of masked burglars stole thousands of dollars worth of equipment from Tattoo Pizzazz on the morning of August 1st. Anyone with information on this crime is urged to call Seattle Police. Community support is easing the burden for the owner, with a GoFundMe raising over $10,000 so far. A massive cockfighting ring in Buckley broken up by Pierce County Sheriff's deputies. Almost 150 roosters were found at the site. Investigators believe it was a training ground before the birds get shipped out of the country for big payouts. Investigators say they were tipped off due to A-frame structures like these, notorious at cockfighting dens. Inside, they found the birds locked in individual cages. Many of them were mutilated to fight better.
They had both their combs and their wattles cut off. The reason for that is that they bleed a lot. We found evidence that they are raising these chickens here and they're sending them to Mexico to have them fight down there.
Investigators also found a fighting pit, but no spectator area. During the bust, the owner of the property couldn't be found, so no arrest has been made yet. A happy ending, though, to the story. Investigators say almost all of the birds were able to be rescued thanks to 2 separate animal shelters. Well, that does it for us tonight on The Spotlight. Until next time, I'm David Rose. Please stay safe.